Welcome everybody to another episode of VTMI. We find ourselves um, at the museum, Robin's Museum, which has just recently reopened after renovations from 2 Elysiums ago, and her return. It's early in the night, and the museum is open to the public. And we will find Calvin here, sipping on a glass of champagne as he is viewing the art.
Since it's night out, Robin will be walking the floors, kind of mingling amongst the visitors, some of which are just mostly old money kind of people. There's kind of late at night for people to be bringing their children or for the younger people. And her art style and most of the pieces in her museum tend to appeal more to the old money kind of crowd. But as the woman walks in one of her many evening gowns, more than likely something black with jeweling around the chest piece. She's going to be walking more into the more, say, art that's from her time section. So in the 14 to 1500s range. And she will pause to look at one of the ones that's come from her personal collection, one that she had painted herself, and she'll pause to smile at it for a moment.
Kelvin will walk up next to her, uh, looking at the same piece, not really at her per se, and slightly nod his approval, and without missing a beat, coming up to such a beautiful lady. Such a beautiful piece, isn't it? Early Renaissance, I would place it.
You would be about right. I do believe this particular piece is mid-Renaissance, actually, if I remember correctly. You'll have to forgive me, there are so many pieces in this museum. It's hard to remember all the dates. And she'll kind of glance in his direction for a moment and not take too much notice of his really not too much notice of his appearance yet. We'll turn her eyes back to the art in typical Toreador fashion.
He'll nod. Yeah, there are many fine pieces. I've debated finding a museum for my own collection.
Hmm. And at this she'll finally turn to face him, kind of stepping away from the art for a moment, so when she turns she doesn't knock it off of the wall or the frame. And she'll kind of cant her head. Oh, I see. A fellow collector? Or a fellow painter?
Collector only. My skills with the brush aren't as good as my skills of the voice.
Ah, I see. I've never seen your face in my museum before. She kind of studies his face for a moment. No, don't believe I have seen you in here before. Did you just arrive to Independence?
Yes, and I was told to seek out the proprietor of this establishment. I was told I could find safe haven in the city.
At this, she shifts a little bit. Ah, hmm, I see. Well, I uh, I am Robin Silverbird, and she will offer her hand to him. This is my museum.
Kelvin Harvey, at your service. With that, he'll take her hand in his, and just lightly grabbing the tips of her fingernails, bring her hand up, bending over in a slight bow and kissing along her knuckles. The pleasure is mine.
Robin will she'll flush a little bit. That's she will feign it. She will spend the blood to do so. And enchanted, enchanted. Perhaps we should speak somewhere a little less crowded. It's hard to have a conversation with so many others going on around us. She motions to the others in the museum. This way. We can speak in my office. And
And
that.
he'll hold out his... Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Fine.
Okay. And at this, he'll hold out his arm in an old world fashion of escorting.
And she'll link arms with him and she'll kind of smile a little. It's eerily reminiscent of someone to her at this point. But she'll walk with him. She'll, of course, be in the lead, sort of motioning which directions to take. And they go around a few corners and they go up some stairs, and then there is two big wooden doors, brass handles, and she will open them to reveal her study, where she has a big desk. There's a lamp, there's a computer, and shelves of books, as well as several uh, paintings that she's done. Um, one of which is has her in it, as well as a man with dark hair, a goatee, and a smaller female with bright orange hair, all posed, sitting on a sofa in front of a fireplace. That one being the focal point right over a actual fireplace in the office.
And his eyes will turn to the painting briefly. Ha! Two beautiful specimens there.
I do still dabble in my free time at painting, but yes, she will grin at that. And she'll release his arm to face him, leaning herself, sort of perching on the edge of her desk. So, what is it that you need to speak to me about then? She will,
Ah,
mm,
but I am a lone traveler, and came from Europe to invest my small fortunes, and upon reaching the Americas, uh, heard word of you starting up this city. It intrigued me, so I made my way over, and I figured I would give it a look-see.
question. The roll for Auspex, the one that lets you see.
Zero aspects. Or are you talking about yourself?
Me. I have the one that let me see his aura, but I cannot think of the roll for it. I think it's something empathy. Or no,
One sec, let me scroll up.
it's awareness, actually, not empathy.
Aspects, or perception, system, perception, empathy, difficulty 8.
Okay. 4 successes.
Four. Okay, so you can distinguish the shade. It is pale.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the main color, let me find it. Uh, we're going to go with deep red,
Alright. And I'm
which
gonna get
is, yeah, which is desirous or lustful. Um, then you can recognize color patterns,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't know what that means. I haven't read through this all the
Uh,
way.
that would be like if it's got black veins, like he may have been a diablerie, or if he's rapid
Ah,
colors, frenzied, you know.
um, I would say sharp flickering colors.
Ah. Oh my.
He is, yeah, daydreaming,
Wonder what he's
very
dreaming.
Toreador, and you can detect stubble shifts for up to 24 hours. So if my mood changes, I will consult the chart.
Mhm. Ah. then then I may speak freely with you. You are fellow kindred. Yes, I am the Prince of Independence. This is my city.
Well, that
Until
is good to know.
yes. I'm surprised I didn't have to have Victor track you down. Normally, when a new vampire comes into town, I have to send out my sheriff to find them. Almost a little bit of a tradition, him picking them up in his van.
Well, I tried to stay slightly informed in local politics, especially when entering a new city. Don't want to step on anyone's toes.
Oh, it is so refreshing to hear of a fellow kindred who actually takes such steps. The newer vampires that have entered my city have been interesting, to say the least. How long have you been one of us? You seem experienced.
Actually, actually, not that long. Not as long as my experience would have you. Years. But I had a very, not necessarily strict sire, but he made sure to pound everything into my head before letting me free.
Good to find a traditionalist, then, in your sire. I've had several dumped into my city that weren't so fortunate as you to have a very good guide. And again, and she looks at a journal that's sitting. Oh, no. Actually, no, it's not there. I forgot. She gave that to Baker. But she will look towards some paperwork on her desk, though. Shake her head and go. But then again, sometimes those who have very good sires don't always turn out like you think they will. That is just politics. What clan are you from? I don't wish to assume.
Oh, but of course, um, though I am, fortunately, from Clan Toreador, it's me to
Ah,
pursue my passions, as once in life, now in death.
I would have pegged you for a Toreador, but I didn't want to assume. Stereotypes and whatnot don't always mean everything.
Very true. And I was fortunate that my sire, he was Premonition of the city he was from. That's what allowed me such insights onto the ways of the world, have it.
He did give his name, right?
No, I haven't.
Okay. I was gonna say, did he give his name?
Or, I've given Calvin's name, not my sire's.
No, no, that's what I meant. Calvin's name.
Yes.
Right. Um. Well, Mr. Harvey, I myself have a childer. So again, I can say sometimes, despite having a sire who is higher up in ranking, it doesn't always mean that they're going to turn out as experienced. So I soon plan to remedy that with my own. No, you are welcome in my city. Of course you are. And she will smile very charmingly at him. And kind of just study him again. I swear your face is familiar, and yet I can't place it. Were you related to your sire? Perhaps I knew your sire.
No. Though I did come from a crazed line of kings, you could call it. My, the most notable being my great-great-grandfather, Henry VIII.
Self-control check. You bastard.
I told you.
You are lucky that she has such good self-control. You want to roll empathy?
Sure, I will give an empathy check. Empathy perception?
Yeah, I think it is perception empathy.
Okay, and my empathy is at 4 with the subcategory of emotions.
Oh, you are gonna do fine then.
So,
Oh,
2 successes.
all right. 2 successes. You can see that has thrown her off. You'll probably notice the way that she has gripped the edge of the desk just a little bit, and her face is tightened.
Don't get me wrong, don't get me wrong. He may be my great-great-grandfather, but I am not quite the womanizer he was. I believe in respecting a woman in all her forms because, frankly, a woman is somewhat the most beautiful art out there.
You get to roll that.
Okay?
This is your presentation. Let's see if you can impress Robin with this.
5 successes, 6 successes.
And she's gonna do a perception empathy on you. Try to figure out if you're. I think it's perception empathy, or is it perception subterfuge to figure out if you're lying to me?
Take your pick.
I'm gonna go with empathy.
Though he's not lying.
I know. But she would test that. Oh, yep. 3 successes. And of course, yeah, she's found he's not lying. She's kind of taken aback by this. He's certainly not like his ancestor. She will kind of clear her throat. Ah, yes, Henry. You you resemble him. See it in your facial structure. Now, that is why I recognized you. Good to see that his bloodline has continued.
Yes, though hard to track. Took me a while myself to figure it out, but I'm interested in the family tree, or at least when I was alive. That's where actually quite a bit of my collection comes from. just hidden artwork that he had stowed away before his own fatal end.
Yes. I heard about his end. It's a shame. And she'll walk over to a little mini fridge and take out a bottle and pop the cork in the said bottle. A toast, perhaps? Actually, I have a piece you might like to see. But... And she will pour red liquid into 2 wine glasses.
Before she gets to the second wine glass, he raises the flute he still had in his hand. None for me. I am quite particular about where my blood comes from.
Oh, this isn't blood.
This glass of champagne will do finely. Oh! Sorry, it's very rare that I run into another kindred that can drink and eat like we do.
Yes. Luckily, that is something from my childhood that I passed on to her. It's very important when blending in. This is a, what is this? Yes. It's a Pinot Noir. It was given to me by, she motions to the painting. The figure you see in the painting with me and my child are. Before he ran off to Vegas again. And she will put that back in the cooler. And take the wine glass to her lips. Take a sip of it. But this way. I have a painting you might enjoy.
And he'll take it and swish it underneath his nose, letting it ferment underneath the smell. Actually taking a breath in. And then he'll take a sip. Yes. Very good. He'll join her by the picture.
In the picture, she'd actually had moved it recently. Just because she liked to move things around every now and then. This one used to be out in the main hall, but she's moved it into more of her private quarters. And, it is a painting of his great-grandfather. Of course, or great-great, I believe you said.
Yes.
And it's one that she did herself. It's in her art style, much like the paintings in the other room. Though, not as refined yet. And she will smile up at it fondly. I made him pose for this for hours. Oh, how he complained. She shakes her head.
So you did know him on a more personal level. I've only heard the gruesome tales. It was very hard digging up anything about him personally.
No, I knew him personally, but I was not one of his mistresses. I was in it for the long game. She kind of smirked. So,
What would be... Go ahead.
though my long game and fun was cut short when the church began to suspect me. I suppose.
The church had a much...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
The church had a much bigger presence back then, that's for sure.
Oh, it did. It did. And they clearly noticed something very odd, that when I spoke, Henry listened. There weren't a lot of people that could get him to do that. She grinned. They pegged me for a witch. So I had to leave.
Ah. Well, definitely a good trait to have. My voice is my pride and joy.
Voices, you can do a lot with them. But my pride and joy will always be my paint. And she'll motion to the other paintings in the area. There's several portraits and landscapes. A few buildings. Some of the city itself now, newer ones. I don't even think the paint's finished drying on that one. She motions to one on the easel. I paint a lot, especially when I'm under stress. There's a lot to be stressed about in this city. You've come at a very, interesting time, Mr. Harvey.
Well, at the very least, I can at least try to make the city better. Though, if you do need me, by all means, call upon me.
I may yet call upon my fellow Toreador. There will be an Elysium on Tuesday. I have many things to announce. Though I shall give you some warnings while you're here in my private company. From one Toreador to another. Let's see, what should I begin with? Do not go to the mansion on the east side of town. It's haunted. I'm sure there are wraiths there. I'm sure there's a number of things there. I'm not really sure. Well, to be honest, it might even just be my wild imagination. I have not explored it, though I know that even people with much more bravery than I hold cannot even enter the gates. But that is on the lowest priority list. There are Sabbat in this town, quite a few. I'm sure you're aware that we are in the southern states, where they tend to thrive. One of the Bruja has been captured, I assume captured, by his sire. Hopefully he's still alive, I'm not sure. We have frequent attacks from the Sabbat, as well as, Assamites. And she kind of shakes her head. We have two of them right now. Perhaps two, three? It's becoming hard to keep count of how many we have currently staked. But this is a dangerous city. There's a lot going on. But you are one of many of the roses in our garden. It's quite pleasing, actually, to see that our clan has such a hold over the city. You want to meet with Miss Camilla Fortescue at some point. She is the sire, yeah, sure, the primogen of our clan in the city. And I'm sure at some point you will meet my daughter, the firecracker that she is.
Well then, most definitely, I will have to contact Miss Fortescue as soon as her earliest convenience. Being the Primogen, she should be fairly close to the prince as well.
I have a fondness for Miss Fortescue. I'm not so sure she feels the same with me, but I find her fascinating. I find a lot of the vampires in the city fascinating. But if you wish to see Miss Fortescue, she owns an establishment called the Desert Rose. It's a burlesque club, I believe. I haven't been there since when I first came to Independence, before it was what it is now, back in the olden times. It was a club back then, too. It was a saloon and brothel. So it's kind of nice to see her keeping the legacy going.
Sounds like my kind of place. Says
Oh,
with a crooked grin.
Robin shakes her head at him and kind of smirks. Yes, I could see that was your sort of place. You definitely are his great grandchild. And she sets her glass aside on a stand. Oh, you young ones. You're all still full of that lust for passion in life, and that's a good thing. Hold on to that and hold on to your humanity.
And at the mention of humanity, he chuckles just a little bit. Well, where I stand, I'm more interested in the pleasures life has to offer me. But appearing human, it has its uses.
Appearing human has its uses in enjoying the pleasures of life. And she'll just playfully walk past him and kind of nudge him with her form as she heads back to her office. Not sure, in her mind, she's not sure why she's doing this. But she's enchanted by him now. You bastard.
And when you give him this slight nudge, you'll notice a quick swirling of violet go through his aura before dropping back down to his what seems to be regular deep red. Violet being excited.
Ah, yes, I was looking. Because on my list it says dark green. That's why I was a little confused.
I have envious for dark green.
Hmm, it's weird. Maybe the list is backwards on mine. But either way, she will she will grin at that, thinking to herself, oh, still got it. Still got it. But once in her office, she'll rummage through. Uh, she has a business card. You know those things that kind of turn. You know what I'm talking about? They organize business
A
cards.
codex?
Yes, thank you. That word. She will. She'll be taking out business cards from that. Yes, yes, you're going to need that. All right. And one of these items is not a business card. You'll notice that when she hands them over to you. Right. This is Camilla's card for the Desert Rose. I'll help you get in contact with her. And this is a card for the Harp, in case you ever need supplies for anything. It's run by an independent vampire, but one he has considerable favor. Perhaps you will meet my daughter there as well. Do let me know if you find out anything while you're there. Not that you have to, of course, but there might be boons in it for you if you have information on what she does. And she'll hand that over. And the last thing she'll hand to you is a kind of crumpled piece of paper with a number kind of drawn on it hastily in almost a very scratchy looking font. This is the contact information for our sheriff, Mr. Victor. If you cannot tell by his handwriting, he is a gangrel. Try not to disturb him too much. Believe the love of his life just recently left the town. If he knows such feelings.
Unfortunately, love is not the strongest feeling, I fear. More along the lines of lust.
Oh, I'm sure he felt plenty of lust for her. Well, quite a few men did. And women. You probably would
Well,
have.
as long as they... Go ahead.
No, good.
Well, as long as they live fully and fruitfully, who am I to blame?
She laughs at him. Like, oh, as I said, Mr. Harvey, you are a refreshing arrival to my city. And I don't wish to rush you off. I really don't. I'm enjoying your company, so perhaps we can spend more time together at another point. But tonight, I do have to mingle amongst the crowd, and of course, I have an Elysium to prepare a speech for. So do be
But of
careful.
course, but of course.
I thank you for allowing my rudeness in that matter. But again, I wish you well in the city, and be careful out there. But I'm sure you already know what it's like to be amongst our fellow Camarilla members.
Yes. Well, anyway, let me see if I can go charm a few of your patrons. Try to increase the revenue for your artwork before I head out. A service to the prince and to the city.
Ah, you have use yet. Try to see if you can con Miss Victoria Brown then into donating something to the museum. You never know. She's been lonely for a while. She's widowed, young and pretty.
Just my style, he says with a laughter, draining the rest of his wine and setting it down on the table. I'm going to, before scenes end, roll a awe roll.
Actually, she's gonna roll all too. What is all
Let's
again?
see.
I mean, I know what it is, but what roll?
Charisma plus performance, difficulty 7. But let's see. With my smooth talker, and he's going to be talking, I'm going to say it's difficulty 6 plus. No, he's not going to be trying. No, yes, he'll be trying to seduce at least one person, and Patha Cathari gives him a negative to that as well.
She has a specialty in her charisma, so she has uh 2 for the 10. That makes 1, 2, 3, 4. So we are equally awed of each other.
So
We're at a
fun
stalemate.
stuff.
Oh,
Well, we
and
each
before,
get 20 people.
well, obviously she will be picking one of him since he's in the room. But when she leaves, of course, she will be getting the other people in awe around her.
I believe that is where we'll end the scene.
And I will state before the end of that
So
scene, you are one step bloodbound. She has blood in that wine.
see, something like that I thought I would have tasted.
No, you only have to put like a little tiny bit in.
Ah,
Yeah. So you can completely mask it with wine or something that has a stronger flavor.
gotcha.
Yeah, I've had that done
Okay.
to me. But don't worry, it's only 1 point. Anyway, so
No,
we
it's
end.
fine. I have prey exclusion, so that's why.
Ah,
Actually, she being a girl, it wouldn't have mattered. Okay. Okay. So, thank you players for playing and watchers for watching.